this time. So, in this video, we are solving quadratic equations. Remember, when you are solving quadratics or x squareds, it's all about the zeros. So, we can solve quadratics two ways. We can graph it. And find the zeros or the roots. Or we could set the equation equal to 0 and then just solve it algebraically. So for the next three examples, I have given you the quadratics, and below it, I have graphed it for us. So this one is the graph of x squared minus 4. So if we remember, our x-axis is here, our roots or our zeros are where it just touches that x-axis. So it's at -2 and it's at +2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to solve it algebraically to prove that the graph is right, or that we did the math right. So I'm going to, instead of f of x, I'm going to replace that with 0 is equal to x squared minus 4. So when we solve this equation, the opposite of subtracting is to add 4. And I get 4 is equal to x squared. And the opposite of squaring something is to take the square root on both sides. And the square root, remember, it is a positive or negative 2 will get me back is equal to x, and that's what we got up here. -2 times -2 gets us back to 4, and 2 times 2 also gets us back to 4. So we've proved that our graph was right and we did the math right. How about the next one? I have graphed 2x squared minus 8. So graphically, it looks like our zeros are the same at -2 and 2. -2 and a +2. So algebraically, let's see if we can prove that. So again, instead of f of x, we're going to put 0 is equal to 2x squared minus 8. So if we solve this equation, we get rid of the constant term or the plain number, so I will add 8 because that's the opposite of minus. 0 plus 8 is equal to 2x squared, and minus 8 plus 8 goes to 0, so we can cross it out. The opposite of multiplying is to divide by 2 on both sides, and I get 4 is equal to x squared. And again, the opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. And -2 times -2 gets us back to 4, and a +2 times a +2 will get us back to 4. So we have proved that we did our math correctly. The last example is f of x is equal to x squared plus 3. Again, we're looking for those roots. Does that graph touch the x-axis at all? No. So there is no solution to this quadratic, no real solution to this quadratic. So what happens to tell us that there's no solution? We'll set it equal to 0. 0 is equal to x squared plus 3, and solve it and see what we get. So I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get -3 is equal to x squared. That's the problem. What times what will give you a negative? It has to be a positive and a negative. And that can't happen. X squared says it has to be the same number times itself, and that can never happen. So anytime that you get x squared is equal to a negative number, there is no real solution. in Algebra 2, you might be able to get a solution. Good luck.